going tonight, huh?
I guess
My God. I'm glad it's recorded. I mean, this is pretty crazy. I'm kind of doing this on the flip side here, so we'll see how we can how this thing works. But anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. Gosh, we will have who we have with us tonight. Dave is our special guest coach.
Well, we have two. We have Mount Carmel's head coach and State College's head coach will be coming on soon, and we're going to talk about both teams are 8-0, and both are coming away with big victories this weekend. State College defeating Harrisburg 20-6, and then you have Mount Carmel, who just defeated Southern Columbia for the first time since 2011. The last time they defeated Southern Columbia, they beat them 22-21, but that in itself is incredible. but to lose your starting quarterback weeks ago, and then in that game lose your backup quarterback, in comes freshman quarterback and didn't miss a beat, says a lot about the program.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about the depth. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I'm not entirely sure exactly what sound's being picked up. I've got a set of headphones on that I can hear you guys, but I'm not sure exactly where my audio's going. Not that a lot of people won't like that if they can't hear me, but yeah, it was a very interesting week, obviously. And Joe, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the great games that you had in your area there, like over the weekend. I think we had. Go ahead.
Oh, you really want me to talk about it?
Well, look, I think one of the big games there, in terms of just Philadelphia Catholic League, it wasn't a high scoring affair, but LaSalle ended up beating, Wood 6-3.
Yeah, I wound up covering Chester and Downingtown West.
Wow. Okay.
Well, there wasn't a whole lot of wow. I don't know if you're aware of what happened in that game. There were 39 penalties between the two teams.
Oh my gosh.
For 369 yards in penalty yardage. You had one situation where one team kicked the ball and it went 6 yards the other way. And the other team took possession and proceeded to go -8 yards in their first two plays. Chester's first possession of the second half was they fumbled it. Downingtown West gets the ball back and fumbled it right back on the first play. It was that kind of night. And then it got real sketchy afterwards. I'll leave quite a bit of what I was told alone. What we can say is what is in the Eastern PA story that's up there now on I've been doing this for, it's frightening, for 32 years. It's 1990 after I got out of college. And that is probably the worst game I've ever seen.
Oh my.
It was and not even, I was going to say a flag every other play. Sometimes there were 2 or 3 flags on one play.
Wow.
Chester, for example, was looking at a 4th and 20. Now, Downingtown West won the game, 32, 34-19. They won the game.
Mm-hmm.
Chester scored 3 times. 2 of the 3 times Chester scored came on 4th downs. Their second touchdown came on a 4th and 11. Their third touchdown came on 4th and goal from the 18, which was, by the way, made possible because on 4th and 20 at the Downingtown West, Downingtown committed an interference call and a personal foul in the same play. Chester was hit 23 times. 23 times, 156 yards and penalties. Downingtown West was nailed 16 times. for 200 yards on the nose and penalties. It was I'm not going to forget it anytime soon. And I remember, and Dave, we can't get into everything Dave and I spoke about, but I called Dave up and I'm like, "You got to call me. We got to talk." Because I even said, like, listen, and it was bad for everyone, for the players, for the coaches, for the media covering the game. It was pretty bad. I am not in a position to criticize the refs, nor will I. But I let's let the stats and the numbers and the facts tell the story, and that's what I did for this. It's one of those deals, guys, where as a professional writer, you get out of the way and, as they say, let the story tell itself. So, 39 combined penalties, 364 yards in penalty yardage, and it was an absolute mess by two quality programs in Downingtown West and in Chester, by two quality coaches. I think we both agree, and Coach Mike Bolano of Downingtown West and Dante Bell of Chester. I mean, these guys care about their kids. They have they produce winners year after year. It was just one of those things. It was just one of those things where it got a little bit ugly and got a little bit out of control. And I'm pointing the finger at anyone here. Like I said, the facts tell themselves here. And I'll leave it alone at that. It's just something I don't think I'm going to forget for a long time, regrettably.
Well, that's kind of rough there, but some of the other games that you had there weren't all that bad. Actually, the most surprising game to me was actually a Philadelphia Catholic League item, and that's Carmel Egan beat Goretti 29-14.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, that kind of caught me. As I talked to Coach Albie, I don't know whether or not maybe he had some players missing. I don't know what the score was there with that. I mean, we know what the final score was, but him and Goretti's, it's a pretty talented team, well coached team, and I'm sure I believe they're both. Dave, are they both double A's or they're triple A's?
A triple A.
They're both
I think.
So they will see each other during the playoffs.
Let me just confirm that.
Yeah, confirm that. I know Goretti is because they played Wyomissing last year in the state semifinal.
Yeah.
And but I'm not sure about Carmel Egan. I believe that they're AAA, right?
I'm looking right now. Yeah, they are AAA.
That's what I thought. So I mean, that's kind of like you said. That really was the most surprising score, quite honestly. Out of all of your items there, Joe. And also, there was a lot of drama going on between Coatesville and Bishop Shanahan. What's going on with, like, District 1 and District 12 with all this drama going on? Well, the game was on. The game was off. There were two, that was the big thing. Right, Dave? I mean, the game was...
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, what you heard about that, because I heard that it was off, then it was on, then it was going to be, the site was going to be moved. It was really something, that I was surprised about, but ultimately Coatesville came out and won the game, which we expected him, right?
Yeah, and the other stuff is, unfortunate. Everyone knows what happened recently with Roxborough. And, there was some credible threats out there. I'm not sure exactly the details, what those threats were, but obviously it was enough that alarmed the police and everyone. And, it's a shame. And I think even as much as today, one of our writers down there, reached out and said that some other things are going on.
Okay, Coach John's with us here.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
It's Darrah.
You could confirm that with him.
And he should be coming in here in a second. Coach, you there? I admitted him. There he is.
He's coming on.
Hey, Coach, welcome.
How are you? How you guys doing?
Great. Well, at least getting you on the show tonight worked out well. Everything up until this point's been pretty much of duct tape
technology.
And yeah, great. Coach, congratulations. John, pronounce your last name for us, please.
Darrah?
Darrah, okay, great. And, Dave Micah was going through a little bit here how special, last week's game was for, your school, Mount Carmel, and, beating Southern Columbia. Maybe give us a little bit of the background on, how special last week's win was for the community there.
Yeah, so they've been a rival for us for a long time. We've been playing since 1996. The beginning of the rivalry was definitely more in favor of Mount Carmel. We had some really strong teams at that time. Mm-hmm. And obviously Southern hit its stride in the early 2000s and lately. But they recently moved to AA. It's probably been almost 10 years now, in between 5 and 10 years. So the last several years, we've played them in the regular season and in the district AA final. So we've been playing them twice a year for about 4 or 5 years now. And like I said, they'd had some really powerhouse teams, and we had some close games with them, and they were definitely close at half, but we weren't able to beat them. So this year we got over that hump.
And Coach, going into this game, you lost your starting quarterback. In this game, you lost your backup. In comes the freshman. Didn't seem like you missed the beat.
Yeah, you really got to give Gavin credit.
Yeah.
He was thrust into a really difficult situation. He's been preparing all year, and he got a shot, and he definitely made the most of it. I thought he was very poised. Just part of it was running the offense, just being able to get the snaps, get the the ball to whoever on time. But then he made a couple big throws for us as well.
In your running game, I think you had over 350 yards rushing in that game. Diaz and Blessing?
Yep. Blessing.
Combined for 5 touchdowns. So, you had your passing game going, your running game. Seemed like you were clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah. So we do see a lot of loaded boxes with how much we run the ball. We run a lot of 2 tight end sets. And, obviously with Gavin in the game, not to say that he didn't do well, but he hasn't been getting as many reps at practice because Matthew Belichick had just took over the job. So, he definitely got some, but he wasn't as up to speed with some of the stuff we do when we do go to our spread formation. So we decided to keep it on the ground a little bit more and have some timely play action passes. But yeah, we definitely leaned on some of our veteran guys and our backs.
In your defense, I think you intercepted their quarterback 5 times in that game. So your defense really stepped up also.
Yeah, I thought we played well defensively. They're a lot to handle. Obviously, they've been running a system for a long time, and these kids are running the system since they're 8 or 9 years old. So they definitely are good, and they always get better as the year goes along. They have some explosive players, some explosive backs. We did a good job corralling them, I guess, and holding them in check, and made some really big plays in the defensive backfield. So 5 picks. Anytime you win that turnover battle, it's huge, and we had a big advantage of the turnover battle, so that was the difference in the game.
John, excuse my ignorance. I'm a Delaware County, Philadelphia area guy, District 1, District 12. So let me get this straight here. You're on your 3rd quarterback this season?
Yeah. So we're lucky to be very deep at the position. Cole Spears was our starter this year, a junior. Okay. He was ripping it up. We're primarily a run team. This year we were throwing a little bit more, but he had like an 80% completion rate through 5 or 6 games. It was really incredible what he was doing. He got hurt in a non-contact injury playing defense, made a cut, and tore his ACL. Matthew Belichick came in, who was a sophomore. He was doing well. We were sort of purposely throwing the ball with him in the 2 games he got to start, just to get a lot of throws under his belt. So he had some good stat lines. And then he dislocated his elbow in the Southern game and right in the beginning of the second quarter. So he had to go to a freshman, Gavin Marshallek, and he had a great game for us.
And Gavin, I've been following him on Twitter.
Are they taking like, you're handing out Joe Montana juice?
Now, like I said, we're deep at the position. We were kind of repping all these guys all summer, sort of giving them all a shot. And luckily we did that because, unfortunately the guys went down, but we were able, when the guys came in, they did their job. They did a good job for us. Absolutely.
And you're right. And like, I know Gavin, I've been seeing him and some of your players on social media, and they really worked hard in the off season. And you're right. He prepared for this opportunity, and you got to tip your hat that he was ready to go in when, like you said, he wasn't taking a lot of snaps. So, my hat's off to him. Looking back, the last time you guys did beat Southern was in 2011, and it was a 22-21 game. I just looked on the site to see when it was. So congratulations on the huge win. I know you're 8-0, 2 more weeks, and then districts are coming.
Yeah, so we got to finish the season strong. We have a traditional rival coming up in Shikellamy, and then the biggest rival on our schedule, Shamokin Air. We play for the Coal Bucket every year, so that's been week 10 the last several years. That's a huge game every year, and then we'll get into district playoffs. We have some rivals there as well. It seems Bloomsburg the last few years have been playing twice every year. Played them in districts a few times. Troy, we've played in districts a few times, and then obviously Southern Columbia. So we do have a tough and competitive district.
Well, I tell you what, it's got to be fantastic for the community. Bringing back the glory days, right? I mean, going undefeated, being really one of the favorites to be district champion, isn't it?
Well, we didn't accomplish any of those things totally yet. So, we're definitely pleased where we're at. We did achieve some of our goals so far, but we got a lot left in front of us. So we got to finish here strong during the stretch, and our guys have been working hard, and I know they're going to do everything they can to do that.
And in your district, I know you and Troy are battling for that top spot. Both are 8-0, and Southern Columbia is right there, number 3, and then followed by Bloomsburg that you were talking about. How important like you said, how important is it to finish strong to get that, home field advantage?
Yeah, we just love playing at home. It's such a great atmosphere at the Silver Bowl. Just everyone involved, from our band, cheerleaders, TV studio, all the fans, and everything going on. It's just a great place to play. And the last few years, we haven't been as fortunate. We did have typically a game or two, which we were able to play at home. But we always were forced to go to Southern Columbia to play in that district championship game. So we really want to secure home field the whole way throughout the districts. That would be great.
And in the past, I've been there several times. It's a great place to go. Do you guys still have the bleachers in that one end zone? Because, the fans are literally right on top of, the players there.
Actually, no. Probably been almost about 10 years ago now. Probably.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Yeah, I guess it's been a while.
Yourself, Dave.
They used to call them the creature bleachers in the back end zone. And I guess there were some issues with the price of insurance and things like that because they were so old. So now we have we call it our brick project, Tornado Alley.
Oh, okay.
We sold commemorative bricks that are there, and it looks really nice. But nice. No more creature bleachers there.
Wow.
Could you talk a little bit about the challenge here? This is again 11-year difference since you beat legendary coach and legendary program in Southern Columbia. Again, I'm down here in the Philly area. And we saw this, Bruce and Dave, last year. LaSalle, you're familiar with the program, hadn't beaten St. Joe's Prep in 6 or 7 years, beat them during the regular season. And you get the impression, and the Prep kids were like, okay, we're going to get them. We know we're going to face them a little bit later. But the Prep kids had, that was their Super Bowl. We know we're going to get them later, and we're going to take care of business. how do you keep the kids on point? The challenge of hey, listen, we got to forget that. We got to move forward. What's your message to the kids?
We have a really mature bunch. We have a great group of seniors and great group of leaders. So I think they get it. But really, we talk about that kind of stuff. And, we already talked about Friday playing a good game. But I think a lot of the stuff that's lost in translation was, well, how do you do that? We're saying you can't have a letdown on Friday. But I talked to them, hey, how does that happen? Well, it happens throughout the week. So I don't really want to hear about Friday. Tomorrow's Tuesday. I want to hear about Tuesday. I want to hear about urgency on Tuesday and not missing any assignments or dropping balls or being sloppy. So I think it's really important to worry about the day on that day. And then if you do all that, when Friday rolls around, you'll be ready to go.
That's a great philosophy to have, Coach. Obviously, you've got work left. But listen, congratulations on, a great season so far. And best of luck moving forward. And the three of us are going to be doing the state championship games for Eastern PA football at Cumberland Valley this year. And we hope to see you there and shake your hand in person. All right?
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Coach.
Just go ahead and exit out then, Coach. Thank you.
Right. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
So just to give you a little history, Mount Carmel's the winningest team in Pennsylvania, and they're one of the top winningest programs in the country.
Yeah. No, and look, I've been by there too. I mean, I drove through Mount Carmel, and the one thing that I had to do was go by the stadium, and it is it just reeks of history. There was nobody in the stands, but you could just feel that the tradition and what have you. So you love places like that. Absolutely. I love places like that.
I think I might have to make a trip out there and
just to sit in those bleachers that nobody else can sit in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When's the last time they won a state title?
Probably early 2000s. It's funny, all their state titles were on even years. So they would win a state title, then win a state title. And back in the day, when it was traditionally East versus West, because now you have some East teams playing in the West playing in the East. When there was 4 classifications, the one year, all the big programs won from the East. So it was the East sweep. It was Southern Columbia winning in A, Mount Carmel in Double A. I think it was Berwick in Triple A. And I think it was CB West in 4A. All 4 of them won the state title that year.
Wow. Incredible. No, it's the programs that have history and then it kind of goes away. When it comes back, it just seems like it's so much more special. It just brings back the glory days, and I love it. I mean, go ahead, Dave.
And just to give you a little history, too, about Mount Carmel, the GM who's at Kansas City is from Mount Carmel. So, and he's done a tremendous job, obviously, there, won the Super Bowl there. And and he was actually a player of the year when they won the state title. So so a little history of Mount Carmel.
A little history of Mount Carmel there. Well, I tell you what, we let's take a look at what games we've got upcoming. This week here. Last week was a little bit interesting, but Joe, it really starts to take shape here coming into this week. But probably one of the big games, I mean, for you, LaSalle and Roman. I think, obviously, I'll think a lot bigger for Roman than it is LaSalle, right?
Yeah, well, LaSalle, I think this is probably LaSalle's season. LaSalle can't afford to lose again. It's, in terms of confidence boost, it's gigantic for Rome. I think I believe the game of the weekend is Saturday at Upper Dublin.
Wow.
That's a game I'm going to be going to Friday night, see how that plays out. So, So it's
those are the less than or not the usual subjects, right? I mean, this late in the season, those two teams.
Oh, Upper Dublin, no, potentially very good. Good story like 2 years back they won the title, and our friend, I believe, Eric, I believe Eric Shada. I think Dave is one of the assistant coaches on that fine program.
Wow.
Yes.
So I'm going to see him live and be able to bust his chops a little bit. But it's a team. It's a program that traditionally has done very well, and we'll see where things lie now. I mean, I believe they are the number one team in District 1 5A.
Wow.
And I'm going to get an education. I'm Sonnet in 6A. Sonnet number 6A. They're 7-1. And again, I'm sorry, Upper Dublin's number 2 behind Strathaven.
I'm just looking at it.
Wow.
But to go back here for a second, I got a chance to see Chester's freshman quarterback, Jalen Harris, over the weekend, and he's the goods. He's the real deal. Other than all the flags flying, he did a hell of a job.
Wow, good stuff. And Dave, what are some of the games? I mean, at first glance, we actually have a match of undefeateds. Now, one of them, 4A Jersey Shores, actually against 1A Canton area. Both of those teams are 8-0 facing off this late in the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be one heck of a matchup. You have a 4A versus a 1A. For Canton, if they somehow could pull this off, could be.
Well, Jersey Shore is just top notch.
Oh, Jersey Shore has been unbelievable, and they're actually. I posted earlier today the scoring information, and Jersey Shore. I mean, they're averaging basically 61 points a game, only giving up 7.5, which leads the state. And
it's got to be close to the country.
But you look at Canton, and they're averaging 47, but only giving up 4.6. So you have two tremendous offenses and also two tremendous defenses. Now, you have a school that is probably 2-3 times bigger than Canton, and Canton probably plays a lot of players two-way.
Sure.
But, for fans, it'll be a fun game. But for both these programs, they're going to play two good programs and kind of get themselves ready for districts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other games that you're looking at? I know that just like I said, at first glance, it looks like an interesting matchup between Nazareth and Whitehall, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a big game for both programs. Whitehall is the 5A program, and Nazareth is coming off a huge win against Mayes, who was undefeated, by the way.
Right, yeah.
And, Nazareth knocked them off. Their kicker, Bugby, 2 40-yard field goals in the game. Think of 43 and a 42-yard field goal, and the one at the end kind of, I think, clinched it for them. And, so that was a huge win for Nazareth. But for Whitehall, they're looking, and I'm going to look at their seeding now. Whitehall, right now, Southern Lehigh is the number 1 seed, but Whitehall has clinched a spot in districts. Right now, they're the number 2 seed. Right behind them's Pleasant Valley. So for them, this game's really important, because if they lose the game, Pleasant Valley could move up into that number 2 spot. And then in 6A, right now, even though Nazareth beat Emmaus, they still have a slight edge in ratings, and they're still the number 1 seed with Nazareth number 2. But
Yeah.
Northampton Freedom all clinched a district spot with 4 spots to go. And right now, if the season would end, you would have Parkland getting the 5th, Hazelton 6th out of District 2, Stroudsburg 7, and Wilkes-Barre would sneak in that 8th spot.
Wow.
So that would be 2 District 2 teams taking, 2 spots from District 11, teams. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this final 2 weeks. But there's, I think at this point, all the games are very important.
Oh my God, yeah. There isn't one without importance. And if it's not for the teams that are playing, it's for the teams that they've played because of the power rankings, right?
Well, yeah, and with D11 Sports, we're going to be broadcasting the Emmaus Easton game, and even though Easton is 3-5, they've been playing a little better ball lately, and Emmaus obviously coming off the loss, is really want to get focused and get back on the winning trail. So that that's a big game. Could Easton at home knock off Emmaus and give them back-to-back losses? So I guess we'll, the answer will be, found out on Friday. But
Sure.
Another game, Bangor, Blue Mountain. That's a big game in District 11. With the ratings and everything. So even though, some of these teams there are maybe high up in the ratings, maybe not playing, top-notch teams, listen, those teams have an opportunity to maybe knock off a team like that and either knock them out of districts or knock them lower in, the rankings. So,
Right. Correct.
So, hey, it's go time now. You got 2 weeks, and then it's hard to believe we're sitting on week number 9. Isn't it incredible?
It is incredible. It is incredible. All right. Well, one thing I want to do, I want to give I've been given my District 3 top 5, all season. So not much change for me. Exeter's been number 1 all year for me, and they proved that even more so last week. They went into the team that was leading the Section 1 of the Lancaster Leather Lake Hempfield and beat them pretty handily. So they're still number 1. Number 2, Manheim Central. I mean, they won convincingly again last week. Bishop McDevitt, number 3. Number 4, Why I'm Missing. And number 5, I've got Solanco. I don't have a 6A team, unfortunately, in the top 5 there. Mm-hmm. But the whole 6A bracket in District 3 is pretty much wide open. Central York now with 1 loss kind of leads the pack in 6A. But Solanco and Exeter are 1-2. It's really going to come down to they're both undefeated at 8-0, and it's really going to come down to power ranking points over the last couple of weeks here to see how it's all going to shake out. Manheim Central is on top in 4A. Bishop McDevitt number 2. Why Missing is number 1 in 3A. So it's the 6A bracket as well is just so tight. Central York leads it, like I said, at 7-1, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams with 2 losses. So, a loss here or there by any team in the top 10 is going to really jumble up those power rankings and, decide who's going to have a home game and who's going to go on the road, right?
Yeah, I agree. And just to let you know, also, Manheim Central, number 2 scoring team in the state. They're averaging 54 points a game.
Well,
while only giving up 11.
That's crazy. I mean, a lot of great teams, And so much is going to be decided over these next couple of weeks, guys, right? I mean, the iron sharpens iron, the cream rises to the top. I don't know, any other cliches we can use for what's going to happen, Joe?
Yeah. Well, one thing we know for sure is fans won't be throwing Hershey Kisses this year. I don't know
what are they going to be throwing?
You know what? It's going to be neat to see what someone comes up with, because someone creative's going to come up with something, and then everyone's going to follow. And yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. Maybe they can throw like little Matchbox cars, because you have to drive past nothing but car dealers to get to Cumberland Valley High School there. On the road. I don't know. I mean, but they've done a great job. I mean, I actually broadcast the game from there last week. I mean, the system that they've got there is just incredible. I won't tell you how much it cost. They told me, but it was a lot of money. And they were fitting in. They're bringing the press box in on the opposite side in, I guess, this week. And literally, they're just like, it comes in like one piece, and they're just going to set it in place. So it's a mirror image of the press box that's on, that's there right now. And it's actually going to be much lower to the field. So I don't know, that might be a better place to go, but there's going to be plenty of room for us to, put our tent or canopy or whatever we're going to do. I mean, there's an enormous amount of space. And, actually some of the notes that or some of the suggestions that I was actually talking to some of the Cumberland Valley people in the press box of the game, the guy was actually taking notes on what I was saying. So I guess he's on the committee and working